What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle for the probably sixth, I bet it's sixth episode of our weekend review. This one's probably going to be a little bit brief just because I keep like a notebook with all the things I want to talk about during the course of the week in it, and I can't find it. It's in like one of these boxes back here somewhere. The house is definitely a little bit out of order at the moment, and so unfortunately a little bit disorganized right now, but I'm glad to say that I'm finally settled. Those of you who've been following the weekend review will know that over the course of the last week or so, I have been moving. Last 10 days have basically just been me lifting heavy stuff like 7 hours a day and then being stuck in traffic for the other 5 hours a day. And so basically, not a whole lot has been getting done. Like every now and again, I would get home from all that and I would sit down and record like 4 or 5 episodes just real fast so that I wouldn't get totally and completely behind. But by and large, not a whole lot of things getting done lately. It has been an exhausting set of weeks, like about a week and a half of just, ugh. And then the holidays came along, which made it that much worse. And so it was just like, I enjoy the holidays with my family, and I hope you all got to enjoy the holidays with your family if indeed you celebrated Thanksgiving. It was good to get home. I live back at home now, actually, not with my parents or anything like that. I moved back to my hometown, and so here I am. I'm actually recording this. If you're noticing my lights flicker, I don't know if you saw that in the background. I live in kind of a shitty apartment now. I don't know. I'm thinking I pulled the trigger on the wrong apartment at this point. This place has, I talked about this, I think well, you'll hear it. I guess you won't have seen the episode yet that I talked about it. But anyways, over the coming week or so, you'll be seeing the pre-recorded episodes that I've been working on where I talk about just like all of the magical like Cold War era weird stuff that happens in this apartment. And honestly, like it looked like a really nice apartment when I moved in, but frankly, it's bad. Like everything flickers like all the time. All of the appliances are from like 1971. It's barely modern to say the least. And so unfortunately, I don't know. I think the apartment that I looked at when I checked this place out, it didn't have any of these problems. It's weird. I think it's just the lights maybe in this room and the living room. They flicker every now and again because it's odd. The ones in the dining room don't flicker, the bedroom don't flicker, and so I'm assuming it has to do with whatever circuit those are all isolated on. I'm not an electrician, but from what I know in basic engineering classes that I took, it's probably separate circuits or something. I don't think that it has to do with like the leg of power or anything that's coming to the area. They wouldn't fix it anyways, even if I had diagnosed it and figured it out for them. So what are you going to do? I guess you just kind of live with flickering lights right now, but every now and again out of the corner of my eye, I have like, I'm a little bit OCD about like clocks ticking and stuff like that. Like it drives me crazy. And so every now and again, I'll notice that the light's flickering. I'll be like, stop that. It drives me nuts. But anyways, what's been going on at the Nerd Castle? Aside from my move, we're finally settled in. I did want to apologize one last time for all the streams that have been canceled. It's just, I keep getting caught in traffic. I think I've spent about 3 to 5 hours a day just in traffic the last week and a half because the place that I lived is about 2 hours from here. And it's a 2-lane highway all the way here. So you can either take a 2-lane highway, you can take the 12 all the way back here, or you can take the 37, which then connects with the 80, and you can come back here. And if you take the 37, it's like, the 37's a little sketchy sometimes, but occasionally it's okay. The 12 is equally as sketchy, so you're basically just like flipping a coin, trying to figure out what's going to get you from the North Bay on out to the East Bay properly. And so you can spend, especially with the holidays, just ridiculous amounts of time stuck out in traffic. And so obviously that has occurred a number of times. I would say about 80% of my drives have ended in traffic, like stop and go here and there, accidents, just like, meh. One of those things that you expect, though, anytime you get around the 80. The 80 can be, I grew up around the 80, and it can be a really great freeway, and other days it can just be a nightmare. It's kind of like any other freeway in a metropolitan area. I think the 80 tends to be a little bit worse than the 680 or the 580, but then again, I don't get out to the 580 or the 680 very often enough to where I could tell you, but frankly, it's been a mess. So Alien Isolation is finally over. How awesome is that? We'll switch gears here and we'll talk about things that have been going on. Alien Isolation is finally done. I wasn't a big fan of the ending, actually. I thought the ending was once again like another set of gotchas. Like the developers really, really, really like to get you in that game and just be like, oh, the switch didn't work. Oh, the window didn't work. Oh, your escape didn't work. Oh, the Android didn't work. It's just like, oh my god, please let any of my plans work. I would love for just anything, just something to work. That light is just driving me nuts. If you're wondering why I'm looking in the opposite direction of the light, is because I can see it happening on the wall over there. And then I can also see it. I have a monitor that's got my face right now, like recording what's going on. And I can see it happening over there too. And so it's just like, it's making me very, very sad. Alien Isolation is finally done, though. I think they did do a lead-in for an Alien Isolation 2. I can virtually assure you there's going to be... Oh my god, that light is going right now. That light is going. So they've got Alien Isolation 2 going right now, probably, based on the ending that I saw. I'd be willing to bet they're probably going to try and cash in on that. It was like the horror game of the year for a lot of people, so it would make sense for them to try and make a little bit more money off the franchise. Honestly, I'm all for it. Anytime you get a successful Alien game, I'm happy about it, because I feel like the Xenosphere and the Predator games, they just haven't had many good games, and so anything that'll flesh out their library and make it a little bit more likable and bring a few more people into the fold, into the fandom, I think that's a good thing. I think that's a very, very good thing. Sell more movies, sell more, xenomorph action figures, more video games, anything to bring more people in, because I'd love to see more stuff that revolves around the xenomorphs, the colonial marines, and the predators. It's just like, I don't think the franchise has had a whole lot of successful series. I think that they've had a lot of trouble just like getting good storylines written. And it's sad, because if you read the Wikipedias, you can go through and there's all kinds of cool stuff in the universe that's really, really interesting. It's just like any other sci-fi universe. There's stuff to like and there's stuff to dislike. But unfortunately, the representative products like the video games and the later movies and things like that, they've not done very well at really like bringing people in. I think the movies did fine, but really in the video game realm, the Alien series has just been lackluster. I mean, there was the Doom clone back in the day for the Jaguar. That's like the only one that I can think about that was worth playing. The one on Sega Genesis was okay, but actually, I like the one on the PS2. There was one for the PS2 that was like a real-time strategy game. I liked that one too. That was fun, but it was limited in like what you could do, because obviously you're trying to play an RTS on a PlayStation, so it's a little bit odd. For anybody out there that ever played Command and Conquer on the PlayStation, you'll probably agree with me that it's a little bit weird playing any RTS without a mouse and keyboard. It's just, it doesn't feel right. Like your fingers don't feel like they're in the right place getting things done. And so you got to do what you got to do there. Crown Takers, I'm hoping we'll beat Crown Takers in the next week or so. I would love for that series to come to a close. I noticed that there was like a breach in the footage, and I went back and investigated it. And all I can guess is either that there was a save wipe, or B, I don't think it was a save wipe, because that means all my character levels and things would be reset. Or I just wasn't paying attention in the hustle and bustle of my move, and I just clicked new game on accident because it was like a new recording session, and so I'm assuming I must have accidentally deleted my save. So sorry about that, everybody. I wish that I could fix it, but unfortunately, too late, too far now. Nothing to be done about it. With regards to Interstellaria, very, very surprising game for me this week. I was pleased with Interstellaria. I found that if you're wondering why I'm not using my left hand, it's because my left hand is holding my mic in place right now. There's like a slight pitch to my floor, I think, and it causes my microphone to rotate out of space. I'm not really sure. It could just be the mic stand's busted. I've had this mic stand for like a year now, and I bought it off the discount rack, which is always a mistake. If you're buying musical gear, just you get what you pay for, so just pay for the more expensive one. If there's like a $30 mic stand and a $60 mic stand, get the $60 mic stand, because I swear to God, I go through so many telescoping mic stands because I insist on buying like the cheapest one there every time. It's nightmarish. I need to go buy another one. And what's nice is I know the owner of the music store in the place that I live now. I grew up shopping at his store, so maybe I get a discount. But anyways, Interstellaria, very, very surprising game for me. It was a game that ended up being quite a bit more fleshed out than I expected. When I looked at the Kickstarter and when I looked at some of the various aspects that surrounded the game, I was interested in it, and I was instantly just like excited about playing the game, but I didn't actually think it was as far into development as it is, and so I think we'll probably get a good 20 episodes out of Interstellaria if we keep it going, which is more than I expected for it. I thought that it was going to be one of my little off series, just like 5 or 6 episodes and then, up and gone, but no, actually, as I play the game more, I'm finding that it keeps branching out into like more things to do, and I'm like, oh my god, this is actually very much like some of those old Star Trek games I used to play. I talked about that in the first episode. Back on my Apple IIe, I had a couple of Star Trek games that I distinctly remember where you played on like a grid and you would fly around the galaxy, and there would be encounters at each location that were like semi-randomized. You would fight with Klingons and Romulans and whatever else, or you would have peaceful missions or like away missions where you would go out and random number generators would decide whether or not your crew was okay and whether or not things happened, and then you could go to different space stations and refuel, buy more weapons, more torpedoes and things like that. And it was a really, really fun game, and it's very nostalgic for me playing Interstellaria because it very much harkens back to the games of that age where there was a lot of space exploration games, as I recall back in the day. It wasn't just the Star Trek ones. I remember playing them for a bunch of just random worlds, and I had a lot of fun with them. I had a lot of fun with them. I'm excited about playing a game that taps into that old feeling. So Interstellaria, having a lot of fun with it, looking forward to playing it in the future. I hope that the Nerd Castle stays interested. It didn't debut at the best numbers, but I'm not really going to worry about that. The only time I worry about numbers is if I'm not enjoying the game, and then like I want to look and see if everybody else is not enjoying the game, and in that case it's like, we'll just eject on out early. But I like Interstellaria enough to where I think I'm going to be playing it for quite some time. I'm excited about seeing what the late game has to hold versus just like the early game where you're starting off and getting things put together. And so I think we're going to be hunting a bounty in that one. You'll find out about that in the next episode or maybe the one after. I think I've only got 3 episodes recorded right now. I'm recording this. I'm going to sit down tonight and I think I'm going to batch out a bunch of Interstellaria episodes because I like the game and I'm excited about playing it. And so I was going to take today off after the video log, but I think I'm going to jump in and record it. That's the problem with having a job that you enjoy, is that it's very, very difficult for you to take time off because you enjoy what you do, and so you kind of just like count it as part of your day. It feels weird to me. If I don't sit down and record for a couple hours, I feel guilty almost. It's a strange feeling, but I enjoy playing the game. So for example, I like Interstellaria enough to where I was going to take a day off today and just do the video log, but I'll probably sit down and end up recording it because I want to play the game right now. You can have multiple saves in it, so I guess I have no excuse. I could just play another save, but I want to see what's further on into the game. I don't want to play the beginning part over again. Other things that we're doing at the Nerd Castle, Mordheim is officially over. I think we played all the campaigns that are available for right now, and so I think I'm going to let that sit at about 3 episodes. Once they release a player campaign, I think we'll be good. With Space Hulk, I think that once again in the Games Workshop corner, I will probably finish a campaign. Whether or not we'll finish the Ultramarines campaign or the Space Wolves campaign, once I finish a campaign, we'll probably break that one off for now, and as they release expansions, we may come back and visit and just kind of see what they've added to the game, because Full Control did do a good job at expanding the first Space Hulk game, so I assume they're going to do it with the second game. Other games that we have going on right now, well, I'm looking forward to a couple of games right now, but I don't want to spoil too early about what they are. Other things that we have rolling at the moment, I think we're probably, a lot of people wanted me to do 40K Armageddon. Gonna be honest with you right now, not my cup of tea from what I've watched so far. I've watched Daz play it a little bit. I'll probably watch him play a couple more episodes tonight and make a final call as to whether I'm gonna do a series on it or not. But money's a little bit tight up in my corner of the woods right now, and so at the moment, like I said in previous videos, if developers aren't sending me games right now, it's one of those things where at the moment, up until the end of December, I'm probably more likely to play older games that I just have in my collection than play newer games. I had a brief moment where I thought about playing Far Cry 4 on the channel, but that ship has sort of sailed at this point. I think it came out like on the 18th, and right now it's the 30th almost, so might be a little late to jump on that boat. Then again, that didn't stop me with State of Decay or some other games, so it might happen. I only run it at like 40 frames though. I have been considering building a new PC, and so if you know any pre-builds on the internet that are looking nice, or if you have any suggestions for hardware, I'm going to go tonight and start looking at Tom's Hardware and start looking at a couple of different websites that I like to frequent when I'm looking for discount parts and things like that. But actually, I may not make a discount build this time. I may just go all in, because when I built my last PC, it was for Skyrim, and I was still in college, and so the one that I'm on right now was very much a discount build when I first built it. I think I built the computer I have now for around $700, and it's lasted. I mean, it's running Far Cry 4 at medium settings at 60 frames perfectly fine, but when I kick it up to higher, very high or ultra, it starts to definitely chug. I've noticed performance issues with some of the newer games I've been playing from indies and things like that, and so since gaming is now my job, and since YouTube is allowing 60 frames per second, it's quickly going to become the standard for YouTubers. And so it's kind of like an arms race, basically. I've got to keep myself current with the technology at the time, and so I have been debating, I don't know if it's going to happen before Christmas or after Christmas, but I have been debating a new, like, all-in, let's spend a bunch of money type of build that'll keep me going with, like, it's going to be a dual screen setup. It's going to be just, I already have actually all the monitors. I have a couple of 1920 by 1080 monitors that are all lined up right now, and in fact, the thing that my camera is on top of right this second is my second monitor. I just haven't hooked it up and got the dual setup yet because it doesn't seem to be... This computer is getting old. I mean, Skyrim came out a while back now. I think that I built this for Skyrim and Fallout New Vegas. And actually, the back end of Final Fantasy XIV, too, is what I was thinking about when I built this PC. But it's only $650 worth of hardware and a bunch of recycled parts from other computers that I had before. And so it's definitely beginning to show its age. And I have been thinking about building a new PC. So if you've got any suggestions, I prefer to do a pre-build just because I'm lazy right now. I've built my last 4 or 5 computers, and it is cheaper to do it that way. But if you know any affordable pre-builds that have like beefy ass hardware that would run like a dual screen setup, maybe with some nice SLI or something going on. I don't know what hardware is current at the moment. I don't even know what iteration of GTX or Radeon whatever is on at the moment. I'll have to go back through and re-educate myself. It's weird. When I was working in IT, I felt like I was always like on the cutting edge with my knowledge of like everything in industry. Like I could advise my clients how to build the next best gaming system at the drop of a hat based on all of my PC World magazines and Tom's Hardware, and I spent a ridiculous amount of time just reading about hardware back then. But now that I don't work in that field anymore, I'm so far out of date. Like, I haven't followed anything since like the 8800 GT days, you know what I mean, when SLI was first breaking onto the scene. So I do need to build a new PC. So if you've got suggestions, throw them down on the bottom, and I'll use those as like a jumping off point or where I can start from to build a new PC. But it's got to be beefy. It's definitely, I think I'd prefer to keep it under $2,000 for sure is where I'd like to keep the build. But for under $2,000, I should be able to create just a monster. I mean, every system, my expensive one, so this PC that I have right here was a discount build, but the one before that I built when I was in industry working in IT, and I dropped $1,500 on it, and it lasted forever. That PC was good for a while. It took me years before I had to build another computer, like 5 or 6 years as I recall. I kind of just upgraded like one part here, one part there for 60, $70 over the course of time, and it lasted a long time at that cost. But finally it started to chug and it started to slow down, and I was like, all right, it's starting to look like time. And then I built this discount computer that I've been gaming on since my junior year of, my junior year, I almost said of high school. No, it wasn't my junior year of high school. You got your bang for your buck there. My junior year of college, but it's time. It's starting to feel like it's time to build a new system, and in order to keep my streaming current, I definitely need to upgrade to either a 2 PC build, or at the bare minimum, I need multiple monitors, and to get that all set up to where I can have 1080p streams going over here while I have another monitor over here for all of my software and everything that's running. Lots of stuff that I need to get current with, and I have been sort of dragging my feet on dedicating to streaming 100%. It's hard. It's hard because like streaming is not the same audience that you get when you do YouTube. Very, very different audiences that are they're after very, very different things. And so I feel like my radio experience actually does not apply quite as well with streaming as it does for YouTube. Then again, it gives me a leg up. It works. You'll notice it's getting darker as this video goes on. That's because the sun's going down behind my monitor. I put my desk specifically in a spot right now so that I wouldn't have to have like ridiculous professional backlighting. I'll just make sure that I do streams and video logs while the sun is out, like right over there. And I actually tested it the other day, and it's very, very bright. But at the moment, it's raining. It's like pissing down cats and dogs right now. So unfortunately, no sunlight, so this one's going to be a little bit darker based on the illumination of the room. I thought about getting kind of a lighting fan over there or something like that, or a lighting umbrella, and maybe trying to do something professional with it, but we'll figure it out as time goes along. I don't really make a living as a vlogger, so it's something that I sort of leave in the background. Yeah, Warhammer 40k, I jumped over that pretty quickly. Warhammer 40k Armageddon, not my cup of tea. I may do a small series on it if I get a little bit of time up. But as of right now, I'm looking into the future. We will be covering, to get the Mountain Blade people excited who may not have been hanging out at the Nerd Castle lately, Mountain Blade, we will be playing Viking Conquest, so be prepared for that. That'll probably be another big series that I run for probably a couple months. I mean, when it comes to Mountain Blade, I find myself getting kind of dug into my habits and tendencies, so I'll probably try and edit it a little bit better this time. So instead of running into the roadblock that I ran into last time where I had trouble, where I was playing like 5 hours in between each episode, I would prefer to not do that, and so I'll probably break the series off when that happens again, when I'm just training too many troops and doing too many things. But Viking Conquest looks like fun, and I do want to play it, and I do want to have it on the channel, so we'll check it out. It's the first expansion, I think, that was... Well, I'd have to check, but this is actually like a Paradox-endorsed expansion. This is not a mod. This is actually an expansion to Mountain Blade Warband, and so I'm interested in checking it out. I do want to play it, and I am excited about it, so that's going to be in January, I think, assuming there's no pushbacks. I'm also looking forward to the Battles of King Arthur. We may be playing that. That was one of those games that I think was supposed to come out last year in February, but it got pushed back almost an entire year. Hell Raid will probably be playing quite a bit. There's a bunch of games that I'm excited about playing but haven't gotten around to really checking out. And in fact, let me get my Steam browser up right here, and I'll kind of let you guys know what I'm looking at in the future, because I know I sent out another batch of... I sent out probably 20 emails last night to different developers. So Dear God, I was thinking about doing, not like D-E-A-R God, not like, it's not a game about praying. It's a game about you're like a deer in Celtic mythology, or like a sylvan deer god. I'm not really sure what it entails, but it looked very interesting. It looked kind of pixelated. And so I was excited about playing it. I was going to play Skill Tree Saga, but after looking at the gameplay, I think I'm going to let that go for right now. I was interested because it's set in the world of Dark Eye, which is that the name of the world? Yeah, the Dark Eye, which is kind of, for people in the United States, we aren't really exposed to the Dark Eye that very much. I know this sounds like I'm making a joke about buttholes, but the Dark Eye is what Europeans play. They play D&D, but like the big famous game, as I understand it, in Europe is called the Dark Eye. And there's been a number of games that have been released in the United States about it, but I think they get skipped over a lot. I think Dungeon Defenders 2, not really interested in that. The first Dungeon Defenders was really kind of a game that I was disappointed about. It turned into kind of like a DLC quest type deal where it was just way too much to keep current with the game. Alone in the Dark Illumination might happen. Might happen. I haven't emailed the developers about it yet, but I'll probably, I'll think about it. I'd like to get another horror game going because I think horror games are pretty fun. I may try a face cam playthrough of it just to see how that goes. I'll let you know I'm not as facially expressive as some people do. I'm not going to like fake my reactions. It's just, it'll be more or less the same just with the camera turned on, basically. I mean, Bit Dungeon 2 I am excited about. Raven's Cry, definitely. I've talked with the developers about that, and so Raven's Cry might happen in a couple of weeks. It's a piracy game, and so anything with pirates I get excited about. Hellraid looked pretty interesting. Grand Theft Auto 5 I'd like to do a playthrough of, but that'll depend whether or not I build a new system or not. I think that that's going to be on the edge. Dying Light comes out in January. Definitely going to be covering Dying Light. Even if I don't get a key from the developers, I'm going to try and do a release day coverage of that, and we'll run our way through that because it does look like an interesting game. Mechs and Mercs, another game that I've had on my agenda lately. Apatheon, another game that I've been looking at. Spaz 2, a little bit on the fence about, maybe. Spaz 2, I wasn't a big fan of the first Space Pirates and Zombies. It was a little bit grindy for me. I found that the game was a little bit too long, a little bit too grindy, and you kind of do the same thing over and over and over again, which I think drew me away from the game. Titan Souls I've been looking at. There's a lot of games out there, and honestly, releasing them in these video logs is a little bit of a risk for me because honestly, I don't like to do it like this, but I'm letting people know what I'm covering, and YouTubers are very, very competitive with each other about game rights and kind of like who covers what. And so I do this to let my viewers know what I'm lined up for. Brigador will probably be playing. Brigador looks really, really awesome. I've actually already got a key to the game. I went and bought it already. And so I already have Brigador. I don't know if I have it on Steam, though, or if I have it through a Humble Bundle type thing. Let me look. Yeah, actually, I have it installed on Steam, weirdly enough, even though it's not released to Steam yet. What do I know? It's probably like a pre-release version. But yeah, that's pretty much what I have lined up right now for future series that might get played. Other than that, there's not a whole lot on the horizon. I'm actually a little bit worried that we're going to have a couple months of just like nothing coming out again, which every time that happens, it hurts. It hurts YouTubers when there's no good games coming out, but it looks like at least up until January 20th or so, I think that our release schedule is looking pretty solid. By and large, everything looks okay. Let's go ahead and we're going to jump straight to the Q&A section right here. And let me get my Q&A list out. Everybody seemed like they were totally fine with... It seemed like everybody was totally fine with me getting paid for doing a series so long as I wasn't censoring myself, so that's good. It's nice to hear that people were pretty supportive of that prospect. So Mountain Blade Viking Conquest, we already talked about that. We will definitely be doing a series right there just to kind of see what's going on. Random question for you. Do you miss degaussing those old CRT monitors? What's with the MARBs? Stressful move. MARBs? I gotta Google that real fast. What the hell is a MARB? I feel old right now. Let's find out. What is a MARB? MARB. Oh, Marlboros. Okay. Yeah, the pack of cigarettes, that was actually in the background on accident. The pack of cigarettes, that's my field cigarettes. When I go out and I do geology or like out in the middle of nowhere for like weeks at a time, that's actually the only time that I smoke is when I'm out in the field because there's nothing better to do. And so that was actually, I've been cleaning out my house. That's one of my field packs. After I recorded the video log, I was like, damn it, it was in the background. I knew I was going to catch hell for it. But yep, there it is. I actually don't smoke very often. I'll usually have like a cigar like once a month maybe. But the cigarette pack in the last video is one of my field cigarettes that I dug out of one of my backpacks, and then I kind of just left it on the counter on accident. Also, I've got a new desk. It's Mega Desk. I finally went all in and like bought a nice desk that will last like years and years and years. And so degaussing CRT monitors, yeah, degaussing CRT monitors was a pain in the ass, although honestly, I started IT right about the time where everybody had LCDs, and so I had CRT monitors when I was a kid for sure, but not something that I troubleshot very often, honestly. I know that when I used to disassemble CRT monitors, you had to be careful because there was like a screw inside of them. It was part of my A plus training. We had to disassemble CRT monitors, and you had to learn how to release. Every CRT monitor has like a little, it's like an electricity storage node inside of it. I don't even know how to describe it. There's basically a screw that if you touch it with anything that is not like grounded and ready to go, you can basically shock yourself to death. And so you kind of have to do it weird with like grounded gloves and all kinds of other stuff. So CRT monitors, yeah, degaussing them was a pain in the ass. Questions, are you smoking again? No, I don't smoke. I smoke like a cigar every now and again for enjoyment, but no, I'm not a smoker. Second, more strategic management games like Banished, Tropico 4-5, Warlocks, Towns, and more. Well, the unfortunate thing there is I'm very, very particular about the city builders that I play. So it's rare that one comes around that I'm excited about playing. I think Banished was actually the last. No, Tropico 5 was the last one. Warlock 2 didn't do it for me because Warlock 2 was basically like Warlock 1. It wasn't that much different, and so I didn't get that excited about it. I think that I stayed away from it a little bit, but I think that at the moment, there's nothing strategic that I'm excited about playing. I think that I like the genre for strategy games. I love building management games like SimCity. I really do enjoy things like that, but it's like they don't come across very often. They don't happen very soon, and I'm not a big fan of like Civilization, and so Civilization and Civilization clones are like a big chunk of everything in strategy gaming nowadays. But other than that, I wish more games like Banished came out every now and again. I am excited. There's one called, I played it the other day. Let me see if I still have the, let me take a look here and see if I still have the link on my desktop. I don't. Disappointing. Oh, yes, I do. Retro Pixel Castles I've been excited about. But up until that becomes like more of a game, there's not much that I can do with it right now, so it's a little bit disappointing. Let's see here. Other things. Talking about MMOs, did you play Warhammer Online? I did indeed. I liked Warhammer Online very, very much. I mean, it was a bad MMO as far as MMOs go, but being able to play in the Warhammer Fantasy world was worth it for me. That's all that I really cared about. And the fact that I could walk around the same world that Gotrek and Felix existed in was very, very fun for me. And I played it for about 6 months. I think the community kind of fell off, and since the game relied so heavily on RVR, once that happened, it was like, meh. I am excited about Eternal Crusade. I will be playing that. That'll probably become a featured game on our channel where I will finally have a game. Like, some channels focus on Grand Theft Auto, some channels focus on World of Warcraft, some channels focus on this, that, or the other. That will probably become kind of like a linchpin series for me if I like the game. I haven't played it yet. If it ends up sucking, then I'll probably do like 5 episodes and that'll be that. But I'm actually really, really excited about Eternal Crusade because it's going to be like the first example, or it's going to be one of the first chances I've gotten to do like a long-term series where I play a game that becomes like a centerpiece of the channel. So that'll be kind of fun. It might happen. It might happen. You had Legend of Legaia? Yes, indeed I did. I had Legend of Legaia, and that was one of those games that I got just on a whim. I knew how rare it was back in the PlayStation days, and I saw it at Funko Land back before Funko Land and what was the name of that company? EB Games, was that it? It was Funkoland, EB Games, there was Software, etc., and all of those got bought out like simultaneously by GameStop, and they all became GameStop, and then they kind of like did away with computer stuff altogether. But yeah, I had Legend of Legaia. Project Zomboid, will you be playing again? In fact, I did install it. The last couple weeks I've been playing it on and off and just kind of getting used to it. I did stream it the other day as well. And so, yeah, we might play Project Zomboid again in the future. Maybe a Season 2. I don't know. We'll wait until... It'll probably happen once things start to slow down a little bit. And so, take from that what you will. It's very busy right now, but it's looking like on the back end of January, there might be kind of like a dead space. And so right there, I might do Project Zomboid to fill it in. I'm not sure. I've also wanted to get the other State of Decay expansion down. Not Lifeline or whatever it is, but the one with the military. I've been thinking about doing that one, but just haven't gotten around to it just yet. Let's see here. I think that's about it, actually. I haven't had a whole lot going on this week, aside from the fact that my cat had diarrhea in the corner of the room right over there. That's pretty fun. And so the room has been stinking like shit for the last couple of days. I had to clean it up with like paper towels and just like this spray that like, ugh, just the worst. Just the worst. Like half of my house now has wooden floors, and the cats came in here and had diarrhea right next to the litter box is the really shameful part. Like they were standing in the litter box and like shit out of it like a sprinkler, and so it was like, ugh. It's like one of those things. So I think I'm going to cut it a little bit short for this week just because I have a lot of stuff to do. You can see that my house is in disarray at the moment. I just need to like record episodes and get things taken care of. I'll look forward to seeing you all in the next episode. I mean, it'll be next Friday, next Sunday or whatever. I think I recorded this one a little bit. Actually, is it Saturday right now? My God, it's Saturday. So no, this one is not that far in advance. So I'm recording this like 12 hours in advance before it goes up on the internet. I'm running out of light. The sun is going away, so I will see you all later. Hi, do everybody. Leave me questions for next week's Q&A. I'm sorry that this one was a little bit shorter, but ran out of light. It's getting dark in here, so I guess I will see you all later. Hi, do everybody.